Come on in. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, everyone. Jeff, we are going to be 4 of us tonight. The first order of business is public comment. We're going to receive oral communications from members of the public. Members of the public may address the select board for up to 3 minutes, longer with permission of the chair. The select board shall not engage in discussion on topics raised during public comment, but may choose to add the topic to a future agenda. This agenda segment will be limited to 15 minutes unless extended at the discretion of the chairperson. Do we have any public comment tonight? Seeing none. We're going to move right on to grants, gifts, and donations. Approval on behalf of the Council on Aging to accept donations of $10,000 from Friends of the Newbury Council on Aging.
A motion to accept the donation on behalf of the Council on Aging.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes.
Bill?
Go ahead, Bill.
Dana pointed out an excellent point. If you look at the schedule of departmental payments, it says at the bottom of it, for the period ending January 30th, 2025. That's probably a typographical error. It probably means 2026. And then on the letter that Jim Carrigan wrote, he referenced to use fiscal year 2024-25. We're in 25-26 now. So
The fiscal year's gonna end at the end of June
so
of this
25 is
year.
over, so, I mean, I'm not sure if it's okay to just accept the amount with the stipulation that the dates will be corrected, I think.
Okay.
We can just fix the dates? Okay.
So,
Good,
okay,
thank you for doing that,
Sure.
that's good.
so, I have a motion to accept the, $10,000 donation with dates being adjusted. I had a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Now, I'm just gonna do this so I can see better. Okay. New business. Actually, I'm gonna take this out of order. I have, public property use request by Richard Morrill on behalf of UCAN Sports LLC. The request is for 3 road races to occur on June 22nd, 2025, July 20th, 2025, and September 8th, 2025. I'll entertain a motion to accept this property use request.
Motion to accept.
Second,
Discussion. Why don't you come on up and tell us what you're doing?
You bet.
Advertise a little bit for the event. You're on TV.
My name's Rich Morrell and I organize the UCAN races. We do 3 races, June, July, and September. It's the same course each time. We do a 5K and a half marathon. The half marathon is much bigger than the 5K. Both events start in the industrial park in Newburyport and head down Scotland Road. The half marathon gets to about Great Rock and then goes out into West Newbury, goes around the reservoir, comes back up Turkey Hill, and returns into the industrial park. We've been doing that course, I think since 2016. We used to do it out of Triton and then we switched over to the industrial park, but no changes for the coming year, same as we've done the last few years. Happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Any questions from the board? Signs, you're gonna have
Rich,
post
I
signs, right?
see they're all Sunday dates, right?
Yes, yeah. Sunday mornings we found are the quietest mornings on the road, so it
Yeah.
least amount of traffic.
Yeah.
And you're gonna post signs, right?
Yeah, we have signs we put out usually Wednesday or Thursday before the weekend of the race.
No chalk on the roads? Thank you.
Nobody likes signs on the road or
No,
on the road. yeah.
we've had issues with that in the past.
And we're never gonna forget it.
Not on my watch. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent,
Thank you.
thank you, I appreciate the help,
Thank you, sir. Good luck with your events.
thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and take the Merrimack Valley Public Health Alliance intermunicipal agreement for the Public Health Excellence for Shared Services Grant presented by the Board of Health. We have our health agent here, Ms. Rogers, please do.
Deb Rogers, Public Health Director. So I'll just read you a little bit of kind of, and then if you have any questions, but the Public Health Excellence Shared Service Grant Program. The Massachusetts Department of Public Health Office promotes and supports the development of intermunicipal shared service agreements through the State Action for Public Health Excellence Grant Program to strengthen the service delivery capacities of local public health departments. The communities that will receive shared services would be on this grant is Amesbury, Merrimack, Georgetown, Groveland, Newbury, and Raleigh. The grant goals would be to hire a regional inspector, begin using relevant software for our public health employees. This will help during inspections and the permitting process. This grant would also assist in supporting hazardous waste day events, offer several trainings such as hoarding trainings or mental health first aid trainings. And these trainings are open to anyone in the municipality, not just for the health department too. This grant also would hire a regional public health nurse and epidemiologist. And the regional inspector and the public health nurse would be on top of ours. So these aren't shared that we are sharing our employees. This is a grant that is regional and be on top. And the grant's name would be Merrimack Valley Public Health Alliance is the name of the group, and it's a regional group. And this, we'd be able to pull. So basically, the grant that was awarded is annually, it's $486,497.32. It's an annual contract. Amesbury is actually the host agent, so they take care of all that, but we would call and request if we needed any additional support, especially which would be really good for us is we don't have a lot of housing cases, and so they're gonna have housing specialists, hoarding specialists, somebody if we have to go to the courts, things like that. And then on top of it, with the nurses, they would hire a regional nurse. We have an excellent public health nurse, but if she's ever out, vacation, if we ever had, hopefully never have another pandemic or anything, but if we ever needed resources on top of any communicable disease or anything that we would need help with, this is great resources to pull in. That's what this grant's for.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? I have one. How many years is it for, Deb?
Well, it's supposed to be about 20 years. We can opt out at any time if we thought we didn't use their services. But at this time, I don't know if they know, how long. So right now, they've entered an agreement through FY '27, and it's renewed, and then they just renewed it actually again until July FY '28. So we do know it's gonna go on at least till then, and then they would renew that. But it
Okay.
is supposed to be about 20 years.
Okay, so it's not something that we're gonna start and then have to
Yeah,
add?
no, it's at least signed up till FY '28, so we know that. And
Okay.
hopefully it will keep on going, and again, we could take advantage of any kind of the courses, classes, MHOA, which is Mass Health Office Association, they're paying for any of those type of classes, any advanced courses myself, or any other municipalities, that want to take the courses they offer can take too. So
Awesome.
it's, I think it's a great benefit. It's supposed to strengthen our infrastructure so that we don't have a situation like a weak area if we needed additional help. So I don't think we have anything to lose but to try it. And again, you could opt out if it wasn't benefiting us. But being a small rural town, I think it's a great thing for us.
Yeah, I think we need to lean on our neighbors, and I think that even if we just use it for the professional development, I think that's great.
Yeah.
And we did also have town council review it.
Yes.
So, question?
Sure.
I see that Amesbury is the lead municipality and they're gonna hire this coordinator. And the coordinator gets compensated for salary and what they need to spend for administrative functions by retaining 15% of the grant.
Correct. And so
So
they.
it's not,
Right.
it's not a burden of money for
Yeah, we don't
Newbury
cost
at
us
all.
anything.
It costs us
Right,
absolutely
right,
nothing, and
right.
they've already hired Merrimack Valley Planning Commission to do their coordination, so they're the ones who already, because this has actually been brewing for a couple of years, like getting it all going, and I've gone to meetings and everything, so they're already got Merrimack Valley Planning, now they're trying to get all the towns that are to sign off, but that took a while, the IMA took a while because there's a different town council in every town, I do believe our town council is one of the towns, but so they had to get, all of them,
Yeah.
all of them on the same page, so I kept going back to the drawing board, but this is the official completion of it.
Awesome. Any other questions? Dana?
I just, a couple things that I just would like to talk about a little bit. One is, meet performance standards set by the Commonwealth. The whole plan, do we know what those standards are? Is that something that's gonna be difficult to do or complicated or? Because it doesn't really say what those standards will be, I just,
So if I'm understanding the question correctly, everything that gets approved to get on the expenditures or anything like that, Mass DPH is at these meetings too and everything, so the host agent takes care of all that to make sure that we comply with.
we comply.
Yeah, that we comply.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, that's kind of what I
Yep,
thought,
yep.
but, I got a couple more.
Sure.
And Bill already touched on the 15%, that was one of my
Yeah.
questions too. For the purposes of employment status and health, retirement and benefits, amenities provided by law, the shared services coordinated and any participating collaborative staff basically is gonna be a public employee now. Are these new positions that are being,
These are new positions.
Created?
They are new positions, and they are hired, I believe they're contractual, but I don't actually know, who's hired them.
I mean, that's
It's
a
through
pretty good
Amesbury.
gig to get those benefits, that's,
Yeah, I think it goes until the grant, it's gonna be more of a contract type of thing, and again, Amesbury is in charge of all that, so it's kinda good that we
Right.
just get to use them, so.
the advisory board. Our health department is gonna appoint 2 people from our health department to be on that board, is that? Cause
Well,
that's what I read, I don't know.
yeah,
It's
so,
it's on page 3, the number
number
5 at the top, the composition,
One member and one alternate, both appointed by the Board of Health.
from each
From each
municipality, which
municipality.
would be us.
right,
Well, the Board of Health would, not the health agent, the Board of
right,
Health.
and this is on the agenda for their next meeting next
Well,
Thursday.
so we are gonna, you guys are prepared to appoint 2 people from the Board of Health?
Correct.
To be on this,
Correct, and
On this
I've
board.
already been going to every meeting, so I assume it'd probably be myself and an alternate would be probably my chair or another board member, I really don't know who, but it's on the agenda for next Thursday's meeting, so.
alright, excellent, I think that's the only thing I read that, yeah, that's all I
Yeah, it's
have.
no cost to our town, so that's a,
No, I think it's a great,
yeah,
One quick question.
sure.
So the services are provided, good job, by the way, Deb. The services are provided within the program, and we don't use that shared service and get billed for it, and then how does that?
No, so what would happen, for instance, we have a housing situation and we wanna hire their hoarding specialist, it's maybe an additional person besides myself. Or if I'm out or whatever reason, we would call the host agent and tell them we need this inspector. Maybe there's a foodborne illness outbreak at our local restaurant and I'm out of, not that I ever go anywhere, but I'm saying I'm out of the state, then they could call, so it's just to use have an additional pool of professionals in case we needed it,
Perfect.
okay?
yeah, because if we have multiple cases, you're gonna need,
Yeah, and right now, we're kind of, we're lucky we're in a nice small town, but you just never know where you may need a little bit more assistance, and again, I think we should take advantage of it if that's the case, so.
Thank you, Deb.
You're welcome.
Well done. Any other questions? Okay, so, I will entertain do I have a motion already?
I don't think so.
I need a motion, please, to, vote to sign the intermunicipal agreement.
I make a motion that the select board and the Board of Health of Newbury, the town of Newbury, sign the intermunicipal agreement.
For the Public Health Excellence for Shared Services Grant.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
That was
Good
very
job,
well
Deb.
explained to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Okay, next item on the agenda is a proposed Town of Newbury security camera policy. So I need a board vote regarding the adoption of the proposed policy before we enter into discussion, so I'll entertain a motion.
What would the vote be? We don't want to vote to accept something, what are we doing?
We're gonna vote to adopt.
Motion to discuss the
No, we're
idea
gonna,
of adopting?
we're gonna motion to adopt it, and then if we don't want to adopt it, we just don't.
Okay,
we vote
motion
that
to
way.
adopt the security camera policy for the town of Newbury.
Second.
Okay, discussion. All right, so what's happening with this, let me just pull it up here, is the town currently does have security cameras located around town. We have them at the police station, we have them at the Plum Island Bathhouse, we have them, not in the bathroom stalls, but we have them as you come in the entranceways, so that, to discourage any vandalism, hooligans down there. We also have them here. This is unique here, 12 Kent Way is unique because we don't own the property. The entity that we lease from has security cameras here. He's responsible for those, but we do have cameras here. So town council's recommendation is, since we have security cameras, it would be best if we had a policy about security cameras. And I agree. So she's put together this draft policy. This has already been vetted through town council. I've read it. Are there any questions?
Who goes first?
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, well, tell me what page you're on.
Believe me, I'm on board with this.
Well, we need to discuss, if you have questions,
Right.
but just tell me what page you're on so like we can all follow along.
I'm on the second page,
Page 2,
and it just, the person that has the access to the live feeds and the recordings would be Tracy, right now, and only Tracy, unless she designates somebody else.
I would be designating the IT director.
You would be designating the IT director? I think that's a good thing, personally. I think that, because I was wondering about maybe even having like a 3-person board, like maybe the 2 chiefs and the IT director and yourself or whatever. So, like, let's say somebody comes in here with a baseball bat and smashes somebody over the head. I mean, we're gonna wanna review that on the cameras. I mean, that would be something that you would wanna review. And I'm just wondering if we shouldn't have more people involved with that review process, that's all.
well, it says here, I think it says, only the town administrator and your designee. So
Right.
you could designate any number of people, it's not just one, right?
Correct.
Well,
And the events would probably change who you would designate.
Absolutely.
I think to Dana's point that on item 6, on
Law
the second
enforcement
page of it,
access,
if an emergency occurs, the police department or other appropriate public safety law enforcement authorities will be granted temporary access to the camera feed. for an emergency response, so I think it kind of
We kinda
covers,
covered
kind of covers that.
Yeah,
I mean, I know you had the idea of a panel of 3, but I think.
yeah, it's a
No,
thought process.
No, I mean,
That's all.
it deserves.
Because I do
comments,
know
yeah.
that privacy and all of that plays a big piece of this too, which is probably more of what you need to control than having 15 people be able to look at these live feeds.
Right.
You know, so.
Well, these aren't gonna be monitored either, they're not monitored security cameras.
Well, but where is?
Are they?
Well, is there a T?
They're out in all the public access ways, so where the town clerk is.
Well, where does the feed go? That's a good question.
They
the
record,
IT director.
it's not a little camera, it's just a recording, right?
It's just a-
Yeah.
But some of the other things are controlled through the police station, this is only this building you're talking about.
Well, no, I'm talking about all of,
No,
this,
I mean,
this,
the other
Right.
cameras, I imagine, would go to the police station.
well, they're already there.
No, they're not monitors, they're not monitoring, they're not video, nobody's watching these cameras. If something happens, they will go
They
back to
go back
them,
and,
But
and
I
they
mean,
hold the data for 14 days.
I imagine the bathhouse, the.
Does the library have any? In entranceways?
I don't know.
But I imagine there's one at the landing, I imagine, and there's one down on Plum Island, and those wouldn't go to Tracy. They're
No,
gonna
no,
go to
those
the
don't
police
go there,
station.
those go there.
and the
It's just this
signage,
building.
the signage ish, are we gonna have, like, and I'm thinking
They're
out
already
loud.
up.
Like the Newbury Green, remember one day someone stole all the coyotes and we were wondering who stole the coyotes? And I said, why don't we have cameras on the Newbury Green so we can find out who's stealing the coyotes? You know what I
And
mean?
nobody stole the coyotes after that.
Imagine.
So the cameras, are we gonna be seeing new signs, like entering this building?
They're already up.
They're already
The
up
signs
there.
are already, in the parking lot as you drive in.
Right.
They're in the, the
Are we gonna put them on
areas.
some, like our monuments and memorials and,
No,
we're not gonna have any outside in those kinds of areas?
no, there's no
Okay.
plan for that at this time.
I have a couple more.
Go ahead.
The cost, has the money already been allocated for this project?
Actually, the project costs were paid for by our insurance carrier, Maya. They purchased the original,
Perfect.
cameras and equipment for us.
Because our rate probably went down because of it and all of that stuff.
If, anything that we do that can, limit our losses.
Yeah,
Right.
They will give us credit for.
okay.
But one thing I thought was kind of funny, it says, town employees are prohibited from removing, damaging, altering, or attempting to alter, disable, or attempting to display disable any camera on town property. I would imagine that could say anyone. It's against the law to do that, it's not just, I just thought it was kind of funny that you put town employees in there, because, I mean,
Well, you kinda have to because
because they
they're
have access to
working,
them.
well, they're working here,
Yeah,
and they're being recorded as they come in and out, so I would think.
To me, I liken it to the smoke detector on the airplane in the bathroom, it's an
I was just
FAA
thinking
regulation that you can't tamper with
Yeah.
the smoke
Yeah.
detector and.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah, you can't just put a piece of tape over the camera.
Right.
Anything else, Dana, cause you've done your homework on this one?
I studied this package pretty hard, no, that's all,
That's it?
that's all I have.
All right, Bill, do you have any questions?
No, I think it's pretty comprehensive.
Jeff?
Good.
No, me either, I like the fact that somebody else bought them too. Okay, so we have a motion to,
Accept the policy, is that what we're doing?
Adopt.
adopt this
Adopt the
policy.
policy?
Yep, adopt, we have the, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Done. Thank you. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is proposed heavy commercial vehicle exclusion, regulation, and authorization for advertisement and posting of related signage.
I make
So-
a motion that the board adopt the proposed heavy commercial vehicle exclusion regulation and authorization to advertise and post the related signage required.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so this goes back to, I have a motion and a second. This goes back to, Larkin Road. When, the Larkin Road was reopened, we had told the residents there that we would look into excluding heavy commercial vehicles. And we petitioned DOT, who agreed that there would be no heavy vehicles there, so now this is the next step in that. We have to have a public hearing, right? Is that what it is?
Negative.
What's the process, Joy?
So I clarified with town council that, because this is, Department of Transportation and a roadway process, that if you adopt or move to adopt the regulation as it is, that we then just have to, publicize it. We need to make people aware
Mhm.
that this is going to be, a new regulation with enforcement and penalties. And then once it's been publicized, we then would purchase DOT approved signage and post that signage. We also have to send the approved regulation back to the DOT to show them that we have followed through with what they gave us permission to do, just as the checks and balances on both sides.
Okay,
And there is one typo in there.
Street should be road.
It should be road.
Yeah.
I put versus road. It's
Yeah.
not, it's not Larkin Street. It's should be road.
Yeah,
One,
we're really happy to be able to honor that promise. We honestly, going into it, we didn't think we'd be able to get it. We were all pretty surprised that we were successful.
great.
one thing I noticed is, the school buses are not exempt from the weight limit. And and I know that right now, school buses don't go down Larkin Road. But I'm wondering if we should put a school bus exempt clause in there. Just thinking out loud. I've been told that the Whittier school bus empty occasionally will go from Georgetown to Byfield. Right now, if you leave it the way it's written, school buses can't go down there at all.
But a school bus is not a heavy commercial vehicle.
Yeah, they are. They're more than 5,000 pounds and they're commercial.
Where did this language come from? Do we know that?
DOT. Says used primarily for the transportation of goods, wares, or merchandise.
Yeah,
No.
Well, that's a but that's like to or from the residents on the street is what that's referring to. And of course, you wouldn't wanna restrict like Amazon Prime from going down there or something.
Or the oil truck.
Or the oil trucks or anything, so
Okay.
that makes sense, but the only thing I noticed was school buses are not exempt.
yeah, but they're not primarily, no vehicle registered for commercial purposes designed and used primarily for the transportation of goods, wares, or merchandise. That's not a school bus, which have a capacity of over 2.5 tons shall enter or pass over Larkin Road, provided however this restriction shall not apply to emergency vehicles, vehicles for collection, delivery of goods.
Yeah, see, those four that you're reading right now, those four are exclusions. I
Right,
think that we might wanna have a 5 that
Yeah,
also
I-
excludes school buses.
If it's helpful, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, so a DOT.gov agency, says a school bus is a passenger motor vehicle which is designed or used to carry more than 10 passengers.
Oh, you're good.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
would be
I
allowed.
don't think this is covered, yeah,
Okay.
because
Alright.
it's-
I just was asking the
but that's a
question.
good call, thank you, Dana,
Based
but I
on
don't
what,
think it's covered.
based on what Joy read, should the motion be changed and substitute publicized for advertised?
I'm not sure if we can amend this. This is the language that they
That's the
required, correct,
legal
Joy?
language of it, okay.
in the actual regulation. I believe the regulation was recommended from town council and that the DOT notice just said that we needed to provide proof that the town adopted it. Bear with me one moment. At your earliest convenience, please forward to this office the official adoption of this regulation. It doesn't clarify that that's where this language came from.
I don't wanna mess with this here language, I think
Okay.
this language is fine.
Okay.
Except for the road.
Yeah,
We need
We're
to
gonna
we need to
change-
change the name of the
Yeah.
street.
Understood.
yeah, because there's no such thing as a Larkin Street.
And I'm just curious, this is just informational only, George, Parish Road. What is Georgetown doing with Parish Road? Are they doing they don't care, it's not
I
on.
don't know what
Yeah, that's not
Georgetown's
that's
doing.
not
And
available.
the actual bridge itself, so Larkin Road ends at the culvert, correct?
I don't know if it's half the culvert, I'm not sure.
Well, I think,
Past that
I think as
culvert
soon
might
as you
belong to-
cross the culvert, you're on Parish Road.
Yeah,
So the signage that we're talking about, the signage would be on the Georgetown side of the bridge.
Yeah.
Is where that one would go, and the other one would go down by,
Central
Rob
Street.
Ross's house,
Central Street.
Central Street.
Central Street, yeah.
Are they doing it, Georgetown?
I don't, that's what I asked, you know,
Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense.
well, that's why I asked.
So Georgetown, we have no control over what Georgetown does, all we
Well,
can
not,
control is Newbury.
this is Larkin Road.
Yeah,
But Parish
in Newbury, right,
in Newbury.
it doesn't matter what Georgetown is
It
doing.
doesn't matter really what Georgetown does, you know, I mean, if, and this is what the concern was, I think, on the street at the time, was that the industrial park in Georgetown, once that bridge reopens, they were afraid that they were gonna be getting a lot of heavy commercial traffic, taking a shortcut out to 95 North Park.
Right, so I'm not sure if that occurred,
Well, it can't, if we
but now
adopt
we're
this,
doing this,
yeah.
yeah, and so we have a motion to adopt this, we have a second. Is there any further discussion?
So the only thing that would make it enforceable road for us would be, I don't know if Dan said it, that our sign would be on almost the Georgetown side of the bridge.
James, I don't know where the signs will be put.
Because
DOT
otherwise,
will tell us-
because what they'd have to do is stop and turn around, because they aren't allowed any further.
DOT will tell us where.
It might actually go out at the end of Parish Road, so that they don't get down there and get stuck, you turn it around, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But if it doesn't,
It's
we
just
don't
like a
want them
low
going over
bridge,
the bridge.
it's like a low bridge, you can't go down there, or you're gonna get stuck. You have to have adequate signage, anybody that lives along Starrow Drive knows that.
Or the Merritt Parkway.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Next is review and approve 2025 business license renewals. I'll entertain a motion to approve a common victular, B&R Salisbury LLC, doing business as Bob Lobster at 49 Plum Island Turnpike.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dog training at client sites and on public trails, no on-site boarding or daycare per zoning enforcement officer. Colby Jackman, outdoor dog, I think that's dog training and trails at 48 Low Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I just wanted to add, these are all renewals.
Yep.
So this is all stuff that's already been happening.
Yep, these all
So just
have,
so everybody knows.
yep, they already have licenses.
Yeah,
They're existing ongoing businesses. Parking lot for Stephen Mullen, Surfside Parking at 34 Plum Island Boulevard.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town administrators report.
Thank you, Andrew. We have an exciting new program that is a collaboration between the Newbury Police Department and the Council on Aging called Good Morning Newbury.
I read about it in the paper.
Oh, was it in the paper?
Yeah.
Okay, great. It's for senior citizens 65 age and older who live alone. They're eligible to participate, but they still have to register for the program. They will be required to call into the communications center by 11 a.m. each morning. If the emergency dispatchers don't hear from them by 11, they will try to make contact. If no contact is made, they'll likely send someone over for a wellness check. So registration for the program can be done at the police station or at the Council on Aging, and there's gonna be more about this appearing on the police department's website. 2026 budget process is underway, as we all expected. It is proving to be very difficult and challenging. That being said, we're in the early stages of the process and the numbers do change frequently. I do expect that we will be spending down our reserves significantly. That is primarily due to the fact that we chose to fund a number of very large projects, pay-as-you-go versus the planned debt exclusion that we had for them. Those projects kind of wrap together, the library HVAC and roof and the elementary school HVAC and roof projects totaling over $3.7 million. So we were able to do that without the anticipated override we had. But as a result, naturally, we've spent down the majority of our reserves. So we're gonna, again, should a lot of if-thens, but if we were to pass at town meeting the majority of the capital proposals that are coming forward being presented to the capital planning committee, we'll end up with only about $500,000 left in free cash and only about $200,000 left in our stabilization fund. So that's significantly lower than we've seen in quite some time.
Tracy, is that enough to maintain the bond rating that we have?
It would be of concern. I think rating agencies would look at that and be a little concerned. Now, that's what we would spend down to, but our certification the next fall, we generally close out between $300,000 and $500,000 a year, depending on, what goes on throughout the fiscal year. But so there's an opportunity for that, more money to be added into it, but it's, I imagine it's going to stay lower. We had the good fortune of ARPA funds, which funded a lot of capital requests that we would have had to fund otherwise through our reserves or postpone, quite frankly. We had a pretty big influx of funds during COVID. So we had a big jump in our free cash reserves that year. We've had a tremendous amount of grant funds coming in over the last couple of years. So that's, all those things help us, especially when we look to certify the following year. We close out balances, we appropriate, we appropriate $40,000 for a project. The bid comes in at 35 and we get a grant for 20. So the full appropriation wasn't expended, it gets closed out. But I'm not sounding the alarm. The sky isn't falling or anything like that, but we're kind of right where we expected we would be for the fiscal 2026 budget. So we're still waiting for assessment information from our regional schools, final insurance amounts, settlement of collective bargaining agreements, and our veterans assessment, which is gonna be
Tomorrow. I think
tomorrow.
tomorrow night,
Okay.
I'm gonna be going to that meeting, and I think we'll have a number for after tomorrow night.
Great.
You never know, but I think we will. So.
Great. But the preliminary numbers, again, it's early, no votes have been taken at this point in time, show an approximate increase of about 6.5% for education funding and 2.8% for municipal departments, debt service, and benefits. And if we were to apply our 50-50 model that we've used in the past, the board's made a commitment to make sure that all new revenues that come into the town, we share them with the district in the hopes of always making sure we have that balance, that we're always spending about 50% on our educational services. If we were to apply that model right now, we'd be looking at needing an override of about 404,000 to fund education funding. So-
We haven't been able to use the 50/50 model in
No, we haven't.
years, so.
No, we funded over, but we just don't have the budget capacity anymore. So if that, again, I'm projecting, but if that were the direction that, in consultation with the finance committee, that you were interested in pursuing, we'd have to have the ballot language to the town clerk no later than March 31st. So just so you have that deadline, just that you're aware of it. And again, things are changing every day at this time of the year, so I'll keep you apprised of what's going on. Joy's been working, getting the municipal aggregation meetings scheduled. So we have one at the library on Friday, February 28th at 1 p.m. and then again on that same day at 6 p.m. We'll have one at the police department on Monday, March 3rd at 6 p.m. One at the Council on Aging on Monday, March 17th at 1 p.m. I think the mailings will be going out the end of this week, with an opt-out response due no later than March 20th. Is that right?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's March 20th, I'm pretty sure, but there'll be more information on our website and people will get all the flyers.
One quick observation, this is the electrical.
Yes, municipal
Um,
aggregation, yeah.
There is it's probably not a copycat letter, but there is some warnings to the fact there are certain letters that have arrived at my house that are not, National Grid or the people that we're working with, they're another group. Which
Oh.
might be normal, but that could confuse people pretty easily.
It's true, even, I've seen them as well.
Yeah,
So
so,
Colonial Power has given us an image of what it actually looks like so that we can do social media posts and things like that and show residents this is what the mailing
That's
will
what we look for,
actually
yeah.
look like.
Yeah.
That's
because
good.
they,
Yes.
That's
right
good.
now, if I weren't, I'm not always sharp, but I'd say, oh, that's it.
Cause you're
Yeah.
aware it's coming.
Is there any opportunity for us to put a town seal on their letter? Or
I
is it too late?
don't know if there's enough time.
We can check with them, that may be too late, but we'll make sure we get it on our website so people will see what it looks like.
I think the good news about what we're talking about is if you don't do anything, your rate's gonna go down.
Right.
In which case is a good case.
Right.
The worst case is a good case,
That's
because I think, I remember the numbers that we talked about in that last meeting, and it was like $14 per kilowatt hour for National Grid versus 12.2
No,
per
one-
kilowatt hour or
it's
something
less-
for the
no.
program, so,
Point
Or
zero,
is it- yeah,
point
whatever,
zero zero
whatever,
one four.
yeah, but anyway.
It's approximately, I believe they said $11 a month for the
Savings.
savings for the base one.
And I know I'm getting ahead of it, but the opt-out part, you can still opt out after you have not opted out, right?
1 month later.
Right, so,
But I don't know who's gonna opt out, cause they're gonna be less than National Grid. And if you're private, they can't move you, if you're already
Correct,
under
so
contract.
she clarified, in the packet that we received this week, the mailer, we have a copy of the actual mailer, we have a copy of what it looks like, so we can distribute that. And she also provided, a copy of a postcard, and the postcard is going to be sent to anyone who is with a third-party provider to notify them that this is happening and to make them aware of what their rights are if they want to change, but also making them aware that they're not being moved.
And hopefully it cautions them that they may suffer a penalty from their carrier if they opt out of the third party they have now.
I would hope, but I haven't,
Yeah,
Gone through
yeah.
it.
I don't think, I would imagine you wouldn't be able, because if you've got a contract with a third-party carrier, I would imagine you'd have to negotiate that contract before you can't leave, so.
It's a contract.
But as we have noticed, or I have noticed, the people who come in here that have the third-party thing going on pretty much know what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah. True,
They're like
true.
totally on top of
Yeah.
this,
My
so.
husband's one of them. Okay,
We also still do have a full-time firefighter opening. They're looking for their paramedic preferred, but will entertain others. So they're still accepting resumes, but they are currently interviewing. So I'll let you know when that's filled. DPW is still looking for plow drivers, pickups, they're in 1 tons, $95 an hour, 9 to 10 foot plows. Also need loaders and skid steers, so if you know anyone with them, reach out to the DPW. And just a reminder of the conflict of interest law training. If you haven't completed those, please do so.
So I did that and it automatically goes to the state, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Goes to the
And you
town
should
clerk.
let the town clerk know.
too.
Town clerk.
Yeah, there's the conflict of interest versus the open meeting.
Right.
I went down, I was in the office, I think Monday or whatever, a couple days ago. And I'm all set, cause she just handed me the form.
Yeah,
that she-
because you did it 2 years ago, or 1 year ago.
Well, the thing of it is what she did was she emailed us the references and the documentation. And all is you're signing off on is that you received them and you're aware of what they say.
Yeah,
On one of them. The other one is the one you were talking
Yeah.
about where the certificate goes to the state and
Yeah.
they keep track of it. So,
Yeah.
it was interesting, the one that you signed, it says I received the information, I took exception to, and I talked to Joy about it, because the 5th item on it said that you were aware of any, conflict of, any open meeting law violations that you're been involved with in the past 5 years. And I said I didn't have that information,
right, yeah,
but I think Joy furnished links to that, of what we did have, what the select board did have, so. You need to be careful what you sign for.
Yeah.
well, what are they gonna do, fire me?
It could be a blessing sometimes.
Okay, anything else, Tracy? Thank you. Okay, under
Work on that.
correspondence, we've had a request from the Triton Regional School District for a nomination to serve on the Triton Middle School, High School Building Committee. I spoke with the chair of the school committee and I asked her if it would be okay if a finance committee member sat on that. And they said absolutely. So I reached out to the chair of the finance committee and their recommendation to me is Richard Keys offered to sit on this. So I'd like to thank him immensely for stepping up and serving on this middle and high school building committee. But we need a vote to nominate him. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to nominate Richard Keys to serve on the Triton Middle School / High School Building Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I just this second page with the black on it.
Yeah,
The bottom is quite informative about how this committee's gonna be put together. And I just wanna bring up to the public that the school administration people are gonna be on this committee. There's gonna be staff, students, and families on this committee in another section. And then the town and community, what we're voting on tonight is just our one town representative that's gonna be on the committee. But right underneath that, you can see there's also gonna be 2 community members that have architecture, construction, engineering experience would be helpful. So there's a lot more that's gonna build this committee besides what we're nominating tonight. It's gonna be more than that, so.
yeah, and I just also wanna dovetail onto that this is something that the town of Newbury is not driving. This is gonna be driven by a separate municipality, which is the regional school district. So we've been asked by the school district to nominate one person, which we have, and then they will fill the
Right, all the other
community
stuff
members,
is,
all this other stuff.
and the timeline is pretty extensive on this program. I mean, they're talking, this is gonna be a 5 to 7 year program that you're getting into,
Commitment, right.
you know?
Okay, all in favor of Richard Keys, say aye.
Aye.
Review and approve meeting minutes.
Meetings.
Where's meeting updates? Where's, there it is, I went right over it. Okay, meeting updates.
I'll talk. You
Jeff?
wanna go first?
No, you go first.
I attended as my role the DCC meeting and was just listening to Tracy. And I will say that I was musing on the fact that when you design the budgets for a 50-50 split and 50 for education, and do for no reason beyond the fact that it happens, the school budgets are increasing because they need to have the money to do what they need to do to teach our kids. And what have they been, between 3 to 6% each year?
Mhm.
Our model does not sustain that. It doesn't sound at the BCC level like Raleigh is in a position, and Salisbury, Neil said certain things. I mean, to alert the public that, we will need an override if we continue at this level, because there's no way to get around not having one. Is there?
Well, considering we were proposing about a $950,000 override back in 2011, and we've managed to make it this far without it, it was just a matter of time before the
Isn't
deficit.
Whittier coming in more now too?
Mhm.
And what's our other regional component, the ag?
Essex Tech, but I haven't received
So
their
I mean,
assessment yet.
it's getting to a level that we might have to contribute at the override level to sustain this, so we're going to have to curtail services on the other end.
That's pretty much how it works.
Yep.
So I'm gonna dovetail onto what Jeff is saying. I asked the superintendent to update this chart of how much the school district has cost us. And this is the problem. It's a big problem, it's not unique to us. It's the state and Chapter 70 funding. In 2002, the total operating budget of the school, just the operating budget, was under $30 million. Fast forward to 2025, last year, not even this year, it's over $50 million. That cost has shifted, the cost of that has shifted, the burden of that cost has shifted away from the Commonwealth and more onto the cities and towns. So
Because
that,
we're more wealthy towns.
well, because the Chapter 70 formula to assess public dollars from the Commonwealth for public education is broken, it doesn't work. And in 2002, Chapter 70 covered 34% of their operating expenses. Last year covered 18% of it. And Brian said this year it's gonna be less than, almost close to 17%. So eventually, it's going to completely go away. And the burden of a $52 million school district, which will plummet, which will go up to $60 million, is gonna be borne by 3 communities of $25 million each. It's unsustainable. Even if you talk about the override word, eventually you're not even gonna be able to override your way out of this.
But it's
So
not gonna change at the state level.
it's gotta change at the state level.
It's not going.
It's gotta though. So,
And you got a lot of support for that when you spoke about it at the MMA meeting.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, Bill saw that.
A lot of the other select boards agreed, it's broken.
It won't get fixed this year, and it won't get fixed next year, but it's gotta get fixed, because a lot of these communities are gonna hit a wall, and you're gonna see communities end up going under. Because either you don't have school, or you don't have town. Because even if you can, the override, because of Prop 2.5, you're limited to that. So if the overrides don't pass, you're gonna have nothing. You're gonna be cutting, and it's a real problem.
if I may, there's a couple things going on here. One that Jeff mentioned about the 50-50 thing, and it's kind of funny because in order to maintain that posture, the 50-50 posture, we would have to increase our town budget so that it would keep up with the school budget. And that's the piece that Jeff was talking about, that's not possible.
Right.
You know, our town budget can't go up at the same rate that the school budget's going up.
Right.
So the 50-50 formula is, it's probably not realistic.
The 50-50 formula isn't relative to spending, it's relative to new
New
revenues that come
Right,
into the
right. That's
community
true.
on an annual basis, so.
But we've
Which is
always been a
now,
little
on
over
the other
50.
end, it's shrinking now, right,
Yeah.
Tracy?
It is.
And getting back to chapter 70, it's like, in my opinion, the chapter money, the 70 money is, as a whole, is gonna shrink. Because the state's practically bankrupt.
No,
They just
No, no.
increased it, didn't they? Didn't you just increase chapter 70? Is that what
yes.
the governor said?
Yeah, the
in the
governor
meeting?
increased chapter 70. The problem is the formula. It doesn't allocate.
I-
And they passed the millionaire's tax that's supposed to increase public education. It's supposed to be split between public transportation and public education. So there's two,
Yeah,
the
that's a big
student,
piece too, the
the
transportation.
Student Opportunity Act was supposed to fix this problem. It didn't. It fixed it with the inner cities, and the large gateway cities now get a significant amount of more money than we do. Smaller communities like us, rural communities, are getting wiped out. And they need to fix it. There's more money with the millionaire's tax that's supposed to come to public education, but yet we're not getting it. So the governor, the lieutenant governor at the MM meeting, I looked right at her, and you know, she said, I understand that there's a problem with this, and I got up and I got in her face and I was like, yes, and she looked right at me and she said, we hear you. So it was like, it fixed this year, I don't know, but at the fiscal policy committee, this is where I'm gonna continue to have this conversations, because I've already sent this off to her. I wanna add it to our next agenda. We're gonna talk about how we're gonna fix this legislatively, because it's, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is the problem with the Triton budget. And it's gonna affect all of our 3 communities, our operating budgets as well. And the problem is with the state. And when I was at the MMA meeting, I had these 2 girls come up to me from the western part of the state, or women. And they said, well, you know, we're on the select board at such and such a town, and the school takes all our money and blah, blah, blah. And I said, you're not fighting with them, are you? And she's like, well, they want all our money. I go, no, they won't. No, they don't. They want to provide not only an adequate education, but a good education for your students. I said, and they can't because the state won't give them any money. So don't be fighting with them. Fight the state, because they're the problem. And they're like, we never thought of that. So I'm still fighting the state. I sit at the fiscal policy committee and I advocate on that, and that's our only way out. The state is our only way out. Unless we want to collapse a department or collapse a school, that's the only answer.
Okay, so some of the stuff the voting members voted on Saturday was announced that Healy is gonna pursue the supporting of modernization and efficiency of local government, some of
Yeah.
that stuff that you
Yeah.
endorsed. Do you think MMA is suited up to tackle chapter 70 for the people that have the problem? Not just, your voice is good, but I mean, if there were 200 voices,
Yeah.
200 select boards,
Yeah, so
200 towns.
one of the thoughts that I had was reach out to the Massachusetts Select Board Association and have them start reaching out to all the different communities and say, who is this happening to? Let's go. And then let's see what happens if we can collectively. The problem is the bigger cities that have all the money have the bigger clout.
It's
They
the
have
voting
more
block,
rep, right.
it's all about the voting block
Right.
is what it's all about.
But the
Yeah, but-
governor can't allow this to happen. They can't allow these small communities to go under.
In some respect, some of those cities, let's say like Lawrence or Havel, they need that assistance at a high level.
They don't need
because
as much as they got.
They, if you really look at it, they got 10% more than we did.
No, they need it, no, they get more than that, they
But
needed it, they
what-
need it for
what
English
people
language
aren't
learners.
realizing is state, I mean, you talk about enforcement, you're gonna try to say, take some away from them, give it to them. What the state has to do is load it at the other end, they need to put more money in it.
Right,
And I remember Bruce Starr saying it a long time ago at Triton. Sometimes it's always appropriation, what we have, it hasn't been loaded at the front end in a long time.
no, and I honestly, I think this might even culminate in a lawsuit. I think there might be a bunch of municipalities
Yeah, I
stepping
mean,
together and
it's
suing the
kind of the
Commonwealth.
same level forever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, the money's been the same,
Yeah, it's not right.
it's
Why-
wrong.
Why don't you start a petition for the, the select board, you're serving up to the
I'm
select
gonna,
board
I
committee,
gotta
start a
reach out to the
petition
chair of the
and
select board association and see
if
what she
they
says.
send the document,
Yeah,
send the message.
I mean, I've driven all over the state talking to people about this.
But like
I've
you
gone
said,
out
it's
western
not-
part of the
Oh,
state.
I
A
know.
lot of times we go after top, it's not, the state's got to put more money in.
Yeah, and they were supposed to put more money in with this
They
millionaire's
put more
tax.
money in a decade ago.
Yeah, well, with they passed a tax based on, we're gonna fund public education. That's why that
The
passed. We're
millionaires-
not getting it.
The millionaire's tax seems to wanna fund everything according to them.
Well, just those two things, but we're not getting it.
So how about if Carmen DeZuglio, state auditor,
So Diana, yeah.
Diane,
Diane DeZuglio.
investigates where the millionaire
Well-
tax money went?
That's what I'd like her to do, is do an audit on chapter 70 and see how ineffective it is. The legislature won't like that.
Where's Elon Musk when you need him?
They don't do anything. The legislature, we don't need him. We have Diane.
No, the audit things are really good. That's a whole nother topic of discussion, because I totally believe that the entire state needs to be audited, you know.
Well, she's auditing.
Yeah,
But the
All right.
problem becomes
but
there-
she's getting a lot of pushback from,
They don't
Right.
like it.
The problem, and I was just gonna say, and you said it, when you can't, at a state or federal level, audit the octopus you made, it's crazy.
it's crazy, isn't
It's
it?
absurd.
Yeah. Because we're not talking policy changes here. We're not talking processes. We're just auditing
Yeah,
where the money's going. That's all we're doing.
absurd.
making sure it's going the way it's supposed to, it was
Yeah,
intended to
yeah.
go. I
There's
know.
no policy changes going on.
It's
No,
absurd.
and that's the state level too. All right, any other meeting updates?
I've got a bunch.
Okay,
I went to the 3-day MMA sessions in January with you.
mm-hmm,
That's the Massachusetts Municipalities Association, 351 communities. Maura Healy was there, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll was there, Warren and Markey sent some videos in. And they had educational seminars aimed at making select board people more effective, okay, which was, it's a learning process.
They ought to have that video. I think we do pretty well.
On the 27th, I went to the Northeast Community College Whittier meeting
yeah,
with, let's see, the 11 communities were represented, either the town manager or mayor, and someone from the select board was there, so there were about 22 people who were there. They put out an agenda. Zoglio's uncle, Dennis, was the moderator for the session. And what's gonna happen is in mid-February, there'll be a final Donahue report from University of Massachusetts. And they'll have their next meeting after that. So what they're gonna talk about is the whole idea of the shared campus exploration, whether potential revenue models, strategies for achieving a more cost-efficient project for cities and towns, planning toward a regional agreement with the state and NECC as a partner. So there's gonna be a lot of discussions. They're gonna be very fruitful, very important. Whittier also presented their capital plan, and their number one item on their capital plan was the wastewater treatment plant. And at this point, there is investigating rebuild versus replace. So that $12 million, $11 million project may change. On February 4th, I went to the Finance Committee meeting locally, our Finance Committee meeting. On February 6th, I actually participated via Zoom on the DCC to try to get educated. On the 7th, Friday the 7th, Essex County Fire Chiefs Association breakfast. Tracy and I was a replacement for Alicia, and Chief Evans was there. It was pretty interesting. They not only went over the history and mission of the Fire Chief Association, but they talked about regional training and operations center. They went over the fire mobilization plan, and they also have their own call to action for legislative support. Bruce was there, Kasner was there, and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll was there. On the 10th of February, yesterday, I went to the local historic district study committee to see what they were doing. They went through their resources, their study plan, next steps, and I think at our next select board meeting, they're gonna talk about a bylaw that they've drafted that we have to look at, okay? And that's it.
Thank you. Dana, you have a meeting tomorrow night, right?
Yes, the Essex veterans, and then I talked to you guys about help me out with this, and Jeff, the Merrimack Beach.
Oh, Merrimack Valley.
Merrimack
Beach.
Valley Beach, I can never get that. I went to that meeting, and there's a lot going on, there.
I was
It's,
still sick, I haven't missed one since the inception.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But in any event, it was, it's a complicated problem, and there's a lot of moving parts, and, I mean, they're talking about, a couple of guys from Salisbury, they got the LiDAR with the drones, and not only, the was it Dover? Dover's doing that on a regular basis, measuring.
UNH, yeah.
UNH, thank you, and, we're getting our own set of drones and measurements, and they're looking for volunteers to, put sticks in the ground at different geographical locations. And this is really interesting, what these drones can do is, like, they can fly up and down the Plum Island beach, and they'll tell you in a week, did an inch of sand moved from this spot over to this spot. And then the other problem the way I see it is the bureaucratic red tape that we have to go through.
Brutal.
Is brutal. And it seems like in Massachusetts, it's worse than especially like in Maine or New Hampshire, but the other issue there is, like the South Shore. I don't know, like, we don't know how they do it, but like Natick just got like a $35 million grant or something for putting sand on their beach.
No, not, no,
Natick
Natick
is
is,
inland.
I'm sorry, down,
Nantucket?
the Situate, the beach down there.
Situate.
The
Situate
Situate
has
area,
it.
it wasn't Situate.
Situate has erosion, yeah.
And so again, it kind of reminds me of chapter 70 where there's places that are getting support for beach erosion and there's places that aren't.
Yeah.
And, it's a bureaucratic problem.
Well, to add to what Dana's talking about, which we're combined on Plum Island. And drones are a great idea, they're not really tied to an engineer's benchmark. So, and LiDAR used to be 6 inches, and now it's gotten much better. But there's a little relativity in there, people don't want to talk about as to how accurate they are, but they're accurate. But a lot of these places that are getting the advantage of sand deposited on their beaches are mass beaches that are owned by the state,
Right.
like Salisbury. So,
Well, I didn't even bring that up in the meeting because I thought of that. I mean, we have even Plum Island and Newbury. Aren't some beaches private and some are public?
some.
We talk about it for the plovers all the time about, so those are other obstacles,
So when you really get into a lot of this, then you say, oh, my taxpayers dollars? But that's what it is. And on the other end, people complain if they own the beach, because if there's, you know, if Mass owns the beach, they're supposed to take care of it. So it's, you know, I don't know. It's all hard. No one's.
Anyway, I went to that meeting, it's a
And no one-
complicated
and no one-
issue.
And no one's got the money to do anything, because it's big, it's expensive when you're pushing sand around, so.
Did that dredge
MIT
work?
had that model. Remember I came and told you about it, where they're making these obelisk,
I remember this.
Right,
and they
right,
wanna put a breakwater.
right, yeah,
And just big enough maybe for a whale to wheel through. And that would actually deposit more sand at the beaches and stop the wave energy and everything else.
Right.
Does it make sense? I mean, ultimately, it's big business. MIT is sharp, and I can't imagine why there are other countries all over the world that have established great breakwater technology. So I don't know why we don't start to think about that. And our wave energy, like if we go down the Cape, it's, you know, 3-foot tides. You know, we get that 9 to 11-foot tide and a lot of energy. I don't know why we don't have some sort of breakwaters. So, and we have, you know, federal and state groins, jetties that change the energies, and, you know, when you have, for navigation purposes, a jetty, that can screw up your beach. So, there's a lot going on. Lot going on.
Any other meeting updates? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to sign warrants. No, meeting minutes. Review and approve, meeting minutes, the meeting minutes of January 28th. Right here, I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes of January 28th, 2025.
Is there a second?
second.
Oh, second, sorry.
That's okay. All in favor? Aye. And motion to sign warrants?
Motion signed warrants.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Second.
Oh, second, yeah. Is there a second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.